Hello, my dear third year student. I hope you all well. I hope success for all of you. And this is Fatma Mahmoud Omara, teaching assistant in accounting and auditing department. We will cooperate together, inshallah, in this course, which is titled by Principles of Auditing. First, I want to remind you by something. The main source in our course is our book, which is titled by New Trends in Audit. So we will depend essentially on our book, which is prepared by Professor Muhammad Musa Shhatam. And this book has a special nature because this book will include the new trends in audit, beginning with principles of audit and standards and how to practice. We will include during our sections case studies, real case studies. So the main point, or the very important point, is that this book will focus on putting a basic framework for audit. This framework includes the concept of audit and the objectives of audit and the types of audit and the scope of the auditing process and what are the elements of success that we need in order to achieve the purpose of audit. Also, we will have the standards that we must follow in the audit process, whether these standards on the international level or on a local level. And this book also deals with the methodology procedures necessary to perform the audit and the rule for practicing the accounting and auditing profession. And finally, how to write an audit report considering the evidence collected. Generally, we have some standards that we call GAS, Generally Accepted Auditing Standards. This standard is the international auditing standard. This standard may be not suitable for some countries, so we can modify it to be suitable for our environment. And this is what we meant by governing standards, whether at the international or local level. So, to ensure what we will do in this course, we will deal with the methodology procedures that necessary to perform the audit and the rules for practicing the accounting and auditing profession and how to write an audit report depending on the evidence that the auditor already collected or verified. Chapter 1, we will talk about the conceptual framework for the audit. The main points in this chapter are explaining the concepts and the objects of audit, distinguish between auditing and accounting, explaining the importance and the scope of auditing process, and analyzing the types of audit. Number 5, determine the audit methods and tests, and understanding the requirement for performing the audit profession. And finally, number 7, understand activities of a CPA firm. This main 7 points, by the end of the chapter, you must have a clear understand for each point of the 7. Inshallah, we will explain the concept and the objective of audit in this section, and distinguish between auditing and accounting, and we will give some questions, true or false, multiple choice, as a practice for the exam. First, the audit concept. Auditing can be defined as a systematic or organized process of collecting and evaluating an evidence by assertions about actions and events objectively economical, with a view to providing assurance of conformity with the standards and communicating those assertion results with the relevant users. In order to be an auditor, you must have an evidence, and this evidence may be written, may be oral. This evidence, you must do accumulation and the evaluation of the evidence, of this evidence, during the process. This accumulation and evaluation will help you to make a comparison between the evidence or the amount of evidence that you have collected already and the established criteria or the standards that we follow in the audit process. You must make a comparison between the standard and the evidence accumulated in order to give assertion about the result, whether the evidence is correspondence to the established criteria or not. So, an audit, or the definition of audit, have many definitions. Auditing have many definitions, but all of this definition focus on one point, which is accumulating and evaluating of evidence in order to make a correspondence between the amount of evidence accumulated and evaluated and the established criteria. To measure the degree of correspondence, to make assertion about the result, in order to communicate this result to the relevant user. Let's take the second definition. The audit is a technical examination of documents, books, records of the establishment or a company. Examination of documents and books and the books and record. Why? This examination of documents in order to collect audit evidence, in order to collect audit evidence from the documents, from the books, from the records of the company. Audit may be a technical or critical objective inspection to the accounting system components. We will inspect in all the accounting system components to give a technical objective opinion. In order to give opinion technical objective opinion about the fairness of the financial statements and reports and its correspondence with the standard audit criteria. From the previous definitions, the audit concept clearly depends on three basic elements, which is examination and verification, reports, and opinions. We have three basic elements of the audit process. First element is examination. Examining all documents, each document, all records, all accounting books, all components of the accounting systems. This is step one, or element number one. Number two, verification. In order to verify the amount of evidence that you collect in the first step or in the examination process, and make a comparison between the amount of evidence that you collect in the examination phase with the criteria or the standards, in order to give independent opinion about the process, about the audit. And finally, reports and the opinion, which is the final step in the audit process, is to give opinion, clear, objective on the auditing process, and write the report about the position in this company. Another important element in this section is the audit objectives. So we define the audit, and we stand on the three basic elements of audit process. But what's the object of an audit? As we said, is to give a clear, objective opinion about the fairness of the financial statements. Is to detect the misstatement, whether this misstatement is intentional or unintentional. Is to protect the company assets, assure the soundness of internal control, and this is important. Testing the accuracy of the balances, is to make a test for the accuracy of the balance of each account, is to make a cut off from the period begin with 1 January and end with 31 June, and to make a test about the accuracy of the balance for this period. This is the objective of an audit, is to make assurance, about the internal control in this period, is to detect any misstatement in this period, whether this misstatement is intentional or unintentional. Another important point in this chapter is the definition or the comparison between accounting and auditing. We have criteria in the comparison. Yani, we will make a comparison between accounting and auditing from what? First, by meaning. What's meant by accounting? Accounting, as we said in the first year, account means keeping the records of the accounts of an organization and preparing a financial statement at the end of the financial year. Yani, record journal entries and making posting to ledger and preparing trial balance until we prepare financial statements at the end of the year. Records, keeping records. Audit, as we said at the beginning, audit is inspection, examination of the records, of the book, and the financial statements of organization. This is a comparison by meaning. Right? Another governed by another base for the comparison is governed by طبعا accounting. We follow the accounting standards which we call the GAAP, generally accepted accounting principles, GAAP. But auditing, we follow the generally accepted auditing standard which we refer to GAS. Another base for comparison is performed by accounting, performed by an accountant. Auditing, performed by an auditor. What's the purpose of audit? By purpose, the purpose of audit is to reveal the fact or to express a clear opinion about the fairness of the financial statements. Okay, but the purpose of accounting is to show the performance, the profitability, and financial position of the organization. And هنا in the accounting I didn't express my opinion. I show the financial position of the organization by numbers. But auditing, we make an inspection, auditing team make an inspection, make examination for each accounting records, for every financial statements, and express opinion about this statement in the auditing report that we will talk inshallah about it in chapter 3. Period, another base for comparison is period. Accounting is continuous process, day to day, recording transaction every day. Auditing is a periodic process. It's a periodic process بتتم خلال الفترات، يعني طبقا للمدة المحاسبية. is a periodic process. starts accounting starts where bookkeeping ends. But auditing starts where accounting ends. And this table is very important, and we will have some question in true, false, or multiple choice about this table. Let's move to some question about this points, and we will begin with true or false question. Assign whether the following statements are true or false. After you read the whole chapter, you must practice question about the statements that we will face in quizzes or midterm exam. Let's take a sample of these questions. Number 1, auditors focus on determining whether recorded information properly reflect the economic events that occurred during the accounting period. المراجع بيركز on determining whether هل recorded information المعلومات اللي سجلها أو المسجلة قدامه properly reflect the economic events الأحداث اللي حصلت during the accounting period. تمام, that's a true statement. Number 2, both accountants and auditors must possess expertise in the accumulation and interpretation of audit evidence. both الاكاونت احنا اتكلمنا عن responsibility of accountants و responsibility of auditors وعملنا comparison between auditing and accounting, and we have said before that accumulation and the interpretation of audit evidence أو accumulation and the evaluation of evidence, this is the responsibility of auditors only. The accountant doesn't have any responsibility about this matter. Number 3, the criteria by which an auditor evaluates the information, criteria أو standards. The criteria by which an auditor evaluates the information under audit may vary with the information being audited. المعلومات اللي انا براجعها ممكن الستاندرد اللي انا ماشيه عليها او اللي احنا بنتبعينها خلال عمليه المراجعه بتختلف او بتتنوع vary depending on the information being audited. That's a true statement. Number 4, auditors focus on determining whether recorded information properly reflect the economic event that occurred during the accounting period. That's a true statement, and we have clarified this statement before. Another type of a question is choose the correct answer for each of the following statements. Multiple choices. In auditing process, the types and amount of evidence remain constant, or the criteria for evaluating information will not vary, and this is false. Number A remain constant, this is false, and criteria will not vary, this is false. The audit report communicates the auditor finding to user, this is true. Number D, records are gathered by auditor to determine whether the audit information is stated in according with the standard. In auditing process في خلال عملية المراجعة, as we defined the audit at the beginning of the section, we said that the audit report communicates the auditor finding to user, and this is the main mission or the main object for preparing the audit report, to communicate the auditor finding to the users. Number 2, in the multiple choice, recording, classifying, and summarizing economic event in a logical manner for the purpose of providing financial information for decision making. This is commonly called, this is accounting. This definition in grade 1 ده تعريف الاكاونتنج خدناه في سنة أولى. Recording, classifying, summarizing the economic event عشان for the purpose of providing نعمل financial information، نعمل financial statements عشان نقدر الإدارة can make decision for the decision making process. So the choice here will be, this is the definition of accounting. Number 5, an accountant must possess experts in accumulating evidence. This is false. Must decide the number and the types of items to test. لا، دي مسؤولية المراجع. Must have an understanding of the principle and the rules that provide the base for prevailing the accounting. Yes, this is number C. This is the rule of the accountant. Providing a quantitative information to management and others can use to make decision is a function of ان انا ادي quantitative معلومات quantitative to management. دي مسؤولية او responsibility of accounting. And this was some types of questions, and we will complete in section 2 inshallah. Thanks.